This can either be someone who knows your worth a lot or someone who will never acknowledge your worth. Like I said, depends on the type of relationship you have and the planets that are in there, aspects, all that. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Destiny Janae, aka your favorite astrology weather woman, or astrologer as some people call us. And today I want to help you dig into the astrology between you and someone else, otherwise called synastry. Synastry, in very short, basic terms, is relationship astrology. You can have relationships with anyone. Synastry covers all types of relationships, but the most popular one is romantic because most people just want to look at the compatibility between them and someone else. So this is going to be a really easy way to do that. And so like what synastry does, it kind of shows you how someone else or something else is activating your own birth chart. And this is why different people will bring out different sides of you. Synastry can definitely explain why you were so turned off by one person, but like this one person who isn't usually even your type at all is just so hot to you. I also don't want you to think of synastry as a yes or no. As an astrologer, I do a lot of readings and consultations, and people often want me to tell them like if this is the perfect person for them, if this is like not so good of a person for them. Synastry is just like astrology weather. The current conditions of the astrology in the sky are going to impact your birth chart in a certain way, and in that same way someone or something else's chart is going to press on different areas of your own birth chart. So there are other, things that should be considered. Sect, whether you're born in the daytime or nighttime, annual perfections, house that's being activated for you in your life right now. Aspects between the planets are very important. The rulers of your angled houses like 1, 4, 7, and 10, how they interact with that person's rulers, that also matters. Timing matters. The current astrology weather matters too, because it may be a certain thing in the astrology weather that triggered something in both of your charts, and that's when you met. Like, there are so many factors, to take into consideration when we're talking about synastry. There's also composite charts, which is basically the halfway point between your chart and their chart. But honestly, it's really all about prioritizing what's important. And I really want this video to be just a lot more accessible and easy to digest, because astrology is like almost like a black hole, like a light hole of information sometimes, and it's very easy to get wrapped up in some things. But I just think it's important to know like what to prioritize over other things. So for me, kind of like the backbone of synastry is like what happens when their planets are in certain houses of yours. And luckily for you, I have my little astrology observation journal that I write things down in, and I write down, if I have a certain vibe with someone, things that tend to happen in my life when they're around me, the thoughts that I tend to have when I'm around them. So I document my life, and I have documented every single synastry relationship I've ever had, whether that's family, whether that's romantic, even down to my dog. So luckily for you, I know a lot about synastry, not only just from actually studying it, but also from just observing my own life. You're welcome for all of my tried and failed and successful relationships, because it is all translating into knowledge for you. And by the way, I do synastry readings. You can find them and book them on my website, destinyjanae.com. I kind of want to talk about the planets and how the planets function in synastry, because it's a bit different than usual natal astrology, right? We have the sun, right? The sun is obviously who someone is. It's kind of like a bright spot in your life. There's a lot of attention there. And so like the sun in synastry just kind of shows who you are, the nature of what you want in this lifetime, the topics that are very relative to you or your partner. The moon does represent the mother. It represents, these very baseline emotional connections. The energy of the moon shows you how someone operates emotionally. Are they emotionally open or not? And usually when you're looking at synastry, like if there are positive moon Mercury connections, this is someone who's going to be a lot more open to communicating. Obviously the signs matter too. It also can show you like the love language a little bit, and Venus adds on to that love language as well. So like I said, you want to take into consideration the sign, whether it's well placed or not, meaning it's in a sign that it likes or not, the types of aspects that it's making. Venus is your love language. It is the planet of love. It's what you like in a partner, what attracts other people to you, and it's the type of people that you are attracted to. Venus is all about how you create harmony in your relationships, like how you bond with people. Like an Aries Venus might bond with a partner at the gym, but a Cancer Venus might thoroughly bond with someone once they meet their family. You know, like I said, the sign does matter, but it also can show your love language, like what you need in a relationship. And the moon can be like what you need emotionally too. Mars is obviously very sexual. Like Venus kind of deals with like what you like sexually, and Mars deals more specifically with like your sex drive, how often you want to have sex, the type of sex that you have, and also what you like sexually too. And you know, Mars, when I've looked at synastry charts, it either really irritates or it, you know, adds a lot of sexual energy. And this is why like those couples who are like on off usually have such good sexual connections, because there's probably a lot of Mars energy there, because not only do they like get under each other's skin, Mars, but they're also very sexually, chemically attracted to them as well, also Mars. Then we kind of look at Jupiter, which is another planet that like, it's kind of where the good impact of them in your life is expanding. It's kind of like the positive thing. Whenever Jupiter is like negatively aspected though, it can kind of represent like someone who kind of enables your self-sabotaging behavior, or like they enable something that's not good for either of you. Overindulgence too. Like I said, depends on the charts. Saturn is one of two things, babes. Listen to me, listen, come close, come close. Saturn will make you or it will break you up eventually. Like, it is very common that couples will break up after 7 years, and that's because it takes Saturn 7 years to make another hard or important in your face type of aspect to where it was when you guys first began. Because the thing is, everything has a birth chart, including your relationship. By the time your relationship has its very first Saturn square, or like a lot of harsh kind of like fundamental things like morals or the way you spend money or children, like those types of like long-term topics start coming up around the 7-year mark, and Saturn will make you or it will break you. And you know, at best, Saturn can function as like the giver of a long-term relationship, right? But at worst, it can represent someone who makes you feel suffocated. It makes you someone who it just can't work with no matter how hard you try. So like, if your relationship can sustain a Saturn transit or even get stronger during a Saturn transit, then you know that relationship is kind of there to stay for a long time. All too often, I'll see like celebrities who will break up during a very intense Saturn return. Like for example, Adele. I believe she has Saturn in her Capricorn 7th house, and she was kind of just going through a divorce as Saturn was transiting her 7th house. Once we start looking at Pluto, this is an outer planet, so like honestly, anybody with a planet in the same modality, meaning fixed, cardinal, mutable, anybody planets in the same sign as your Pluto or your generation's Pluto, they're going to activate your Pluto in some way. But Pluto, we start talking about like power couples, we start talking about couples that are more powerful together, we start talking about, at worst, abusive situations, we start talking about controlling, stalker situations too. So like, Pluto can be, it tends towards the extreme, and honestly you'll only notice it when it's very prominent Pluto transit. But it can also just represent like a relationship that has had a lot of impact on you, period. You have gone through a deep transformation at the hands of this relationship, for better or for worse. You know, astrology isn't all butterflies and rainbows. Then we kind of get into some of the asteroids. We talk about Chiron. It's all about healing and wounding. Chiron can sometimes represent where someone is going to hurt you, but it can also show where someone is going to heal you. And honestly, like whichever one you get, it literally just depends on how Chiron is situated in your chart. Juno is the asteroid of marriage, committed relationships, and all that, and it shows you kind of like what you're looking for in like a marriage partner, the types of things that you would commit to, the types of people that you would commit to. I'm not going to say that the other asteroids don't matter, but I am going to say that Juno, especially when we're talking about synastry, it's one that I always have up. Every single synastry consultation, Juno is right there. Now that you know that information, now we're going to talk about house synastry. If you have a lot of first house synastry with someone, chances are, especially if it's like Venus or the moon or the sun or something, even Mars, chances are that you are exactly what that person is looking for. Chances are that it's very hot, sexual between you guys. First house synastry, the nature of your personalities are just naturally very similar, because they have planets in your rising sign. First house synastry is also very fundamental to who you are. Like, being around this person will kind of encourage you to evolve in a certain way, for better or for worse. It really just depends on the type of relationship you're in, you know? Second house synastry is very financially involved. This can either be someone who knows your worth a lot or someone who will never acknowledge your worth. Like I said, depends on the type of relationship you have and the planets that are in there, aspects, all that. Chances are money and finances might be a very important thing in the relationship between you guys. I've seen second house synastry be very good with cuddling, you know, massages, lots of physical affection, touching, lots of eating too, lots of relaxation together. And also, like, chances are, especially if it's like Mercury in the second house or something like that, it'll be like you guys have similar morals, not just for Mercury, but like especially Mercury. You guys may think very similarly. Third house synastry, this is where you guys just cannot shut up. You guys probably talk on the phone a lot, or you guys probably show up to like public events, social events with each other quite often. There's probably something that you can learn from this person or whatever, or that they're learning from you. You guys may have met at school, studying together. Third house synastry, you may travel a lot more. There's just a whole side of the world that is like unlocked once you and this person click. Third house synastry can also deal with like arguments too. Since there's so much communicative energy, you know, Mars in the third house or something can look like you arguing with each other a lot more, or it can just mean you guys are spending a lot of time, you guys spend a lot of energy into mental and communicative side of your relationship. Fourth house synastry, this is someone who is going to easily be able to get under your skin, for better or for worse. This is someone who's gonna feel like home even if you never met them a day in your life. This is someone who is going to feel like chosen family to you, and you may end up living together at some point in your life. Fourth house synastry is very vulnerable because it's at the very bottom of the chart, you know? It's your roots. Think about it like a tree. The fourth house is the root of the tree, and the 10th house is where it branches out, and we'll talk about the 10th house later on. Yeah, fourth house synastry can be very homey, and they may be the type of person that you would want to have a family with. Now, fifth house synastry is very sexual. You guys may get a lot of creativity done together. The sex drives are probably through the roof, or at least the physical attraction. Now, since the fifth house also does deal with like creativity and all that, and children, you know, this may be someone, you know, you guys may end up sharing a child together, even if you don't ultimately end up together in life. Like, you may have a child with this person. But I've noticed a lot of people's synastry, like for example, my mom, like my moon is in her fifth house and I'm her child, you know? So like a lot of people's children will have signs of their fifth house, you know? Yeah, fifth house also deals with like an element of fun. Like there's an element of fun in the relationship. Now, sixth house synastry, it's kind of like you and that person kind of have similar goals. There's a lot of give and take. It's not always equal. It's not always positive either. It can be positive, but not always. There's a lot of give and take between the relationship. And it's also very like, you guys may have similar goals and work on similar goals together. You guys may work together even. You guys may see each other a lot, run into each other a lot in your daily routine. You may have met somewhere that you both work, or you may have met somewhere that you go to a lot, like your favorite coffee shop that you go to every day. Sixth house synastry can also deal with like you guys owning a pet together or something like that. It can also deal with like you guys going to the gym, working out a lot together. Lots of physical health being very prominent in the relationship as well. You know, the relationship itself might affect your physical health. So like if it's a toxic relationship, it is going to impact your physical health quite a bit, especially if you are the type of person who has 12th house placements already, or sixth house placements already, and their planets are activating those planets of yours. Seventh house synastry is like, it can be love-hate, but for the most part, when I'm looking at seventh house energy, it's usually love. Like it's dreamboat energy. It's, oh my god, this is exactly what I'm looking for. This is my type. This is the person that I want. More often than not, you'll find a partner who has what you've been looking for. They are what you want when they have a lot of energy in your seventh house. Especially if you already have placements in your seventh house, girl, y'all about to just fall in love, okay? Like I said, it is love-hate, so like sometimes it can be like you love this person so much that it becomes hateful, or like what was once very lovey-dovey becomes very hateful during the breakup or whatever. It really all depends, like I said, on the type of relationship that you have. So context is very important when you're looking at synastry. Circumstances are everything, because somebody who has Saturn in your seventh house may have just never worked out for you, but you might meet the right person who has Saturn in your seventh house, and it may result in a relationship that lasts a very long time. So like I said, circumstances are everything. Like what you guys care about is everything. And you know, I'm no love doctor, but just being on the same page in a lot of areas in your life and also being willing to grow with someone, that can do a lot. Especially if there's already a lot of astrological chemistry going on between your charts. Yeah, I love seeing 7th house synastry. And it also indicates that you may end up getting married at some point in your life. Or it may just be a very significant relationship. Like if you're very old and you're looking back on your life, like, and if you think of significant relationships, this relationship may pop up even if you guys don't end up together. 8th house synastry is very deep. It's very intimate, very sexual. Yes, there's a lot of sexuality involved, but it's not quite like the fun, I'm hot, you're hot, we're hot type of sex that is present with 5th house synastry. When someone has planets in your 8th house, vice versa, it's kind of like they see a side to you that literally no one else sees. Maybe even there's like a hidden component to your relationship. Your relationship may even be a secret or have started out as a secret, or there's a lot about the relationship that you want to keep private. You know, the sexual interactions that you have are going to be very deep and soul bearing. You know, you guys may even journey into the like spiritual realm together. Taboo topics in the relationship may be discussed, like tarot cards and readings. You guys may get readings together or do them, or be a very spiritual couple and do spiritual work together. Regardless, like the 8th house is kind of like the house of shadow work in a way. So like chances are if someone has placements in your 8th house, they're naturally going to show you some areas that you either need to work on or areas that you've already healed. But 8th house synastry is not easy by any means. It's very deep and it can be dark, not always. Yeah, chances are you guys share certain spiritual beliefs though. When I see 9th house synastry, like you guys may have started dating in high school or college, which is like higher level learning, or like if you did post-grad school or medical school or law school or whatever, you guys may have met that way. You guys may have met while studying. You guys may be the type of couple that wants to travel a lot. You guys take vacations a lot. Or you guys are just very open-minded and you maybe share similar beliefs and you want to discuss and debate those beliefs even. Now something like Saturn here can be like someone who is like harsh no against all of your beliefs, or it can be someone who is very supportive of you. So it really just depends. 9th house synastry is also very lucky, very happy-go-lucky. You know, you guys may go out a lot together because it's similar to Sagittarius energy, you know? You guys may read similar books or connect over books and connect over knowledge. It may have even started out as like a teacher-professor relationship or something. Teacher-student relationship or whatever. Or like it may be that like the person that you're with is from a different culture or something. There's something culturally that may be different or similar to you guys. Now 10th house synastry, when someone has placements in your 10th, it is a very public relationship whether you like it or not, and depending on their planets it is going to change how they influence your 10th house or vice versa. So like 10th house energy can be like a publicity relationship. It can be like someone who maybe wants to use you for publicity, or it may just be that like you guys as a unit will change one or both of your reputations. Like being associated with each other is going to change how other people perceive you, and it's also going to change your life path. So like also 10th house synastry, like you guys may work together, you guys may open a business together. There's something about your overall life path that is conjoined in a way, whether you stay together or don't. Like chances are you meet someone who has a placement in your 10th, you're definitely gonna walk out of that relationship with a different goal in life because it's gonna show you something. But yeah, I see it a lot with like business power couples that work together, you know, all that, own businesses, those types of things. 11th house synastry is very social. You guys may be on social media a lot. You guys may have met on the internet or on social media. I see that one a lot. You guys may have the same friend groups or like started out as a friend, but regardless, like 11th house synastry is like outside of the romance of your relationship, the relationship could still stand on its own 2 legs, you know? There's more than just romance and sex and attraction there. Like you guys are actually friends. I love seeing 11th house synastry because the way that a lot of relationships are built is like they often start off as romance, and like once the romance dies down, so does the relationship. But it's like couples with a lot of strong and positive 11th house synastry, they definitely get along. They probably have the same friend group or eventually will conjoin their friend groups. You probably actually like them, not just the romantic lovey-dovey honeymoon phase part of that. You guys also may have similar dreams in life, hopes, wishes, because that's also another 11th house thing. 12th house synastry often goes one of 2 ways. They're either really good for you or really bad for you, because the 12th house is the energy of your subconscious, your mental health, whatever. And so like more often than not, if someone has planets in your 12th house, they are able to see things about you and your subconscious and know things about you that you may not even know yourself. And because of this, if it's someone with bad intentions for you, they can easily use that to manipulate you or control you in some way. But if it's someone with good intentions, like, they can almost function as a therapist for you, or even you may have 12th house synastry with your actual literal licensed therapist, you know. But also the 12th house is like the house of hidden enemies, or like people who aren't the best for you. So like this can, you know, often like in breakups or whatever, like this person can reveal themselves to have been a hidden enemy or like been working against you in some way, whether they knew it or not. Like maybe it's just the personality, like who they were was just not conducive to you and your goals and where you want to go in life. Or they may just have been hiding malicious intent the whole time and you weren't able to see that because the 12th house is very hidden. I'm not gonna lie, this is the synastry that I avoid the most out of all of them, because like I said, it just depends. Like this can be friends, this can be lovers, this can be family, whatever the case is. I think the sign you have in your 12th house matters a lot too, but truthfully, it just depends on like the intentions that that person has for you. So with that being said, I hope this video helped. Let me know in the comments down below what type of synastry is very prominent in your relationship, if you're in one. Like I really like 9th house synastry, so like what kind do you like? And if you want to get a synastry reading, you can get one on my website, destinyjanae.com. But otherwise, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. And I love y'all.